Welcome to the video. My name's Steven. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the 4 ways that I can tell if someone has envy or like they have envy. Yeah, I don't know where I was going with that. Um, just to give you some background, I was reading Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power. Nope. I was reading Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature. This book right here. It's a pretty big read, but to be honest, it's not too bad. But yeah, basically, he was talking about envy, and it was like so good that I started taking notes. And then after that, I was like, "This is fire!" So I'm going to share all this information online because there's a good chance you might not have read the book. It's a great book. I recommend reading it. But yeah, basically, it's my way of saying this isn't my original piece of work. This is Robert Greene's. I'm just forwarding it to the world in an easier to consume fashion. So, yeah, if you like the video, go ahead and subscribe. And another thing, if you haven't watched any of my previous videos where I'm not doing all these crazy edits, it's because I want you to pay attention to what I'm talking about because I'm trying to teach you something and help you out. Um, and if you need to, have all this dopamine grab in your while you're watching, if you need to watch a TikTok video, go watch TikTok. Don't watch this. But if you're here, it's probably because you want to be successful. You are successful, or there's someone that envies you, which sucks. And how to deal with it. So let's talk about it. I guess it doesn't inherently suck. We'll go ahead and talk about it. We'll get into it. So first thing I want to talk about is that envy isn't necessarily bad. So this is something that I didn't necessarily realize when I was reading it, and this wasn't like something he said, but I kind of got the impression. So there's two types of envy, and uh, we have passive, and then we have active, right? So say you are more successful to me and I'm like envious of your success, right? And that's it. I never say it or I never act out, or maybe I don't even know you. Like it could be like maybe I'm envious of Bill Gates' success, but it's passive. Like I don't know him and I will never do anything that makes it seem like I'm actually envious. Like there's no signs here, right? So yeah, it's passive. And then the active, I'm not going to write the definitions because I'm trying to make this video short, but active envy is like you're overtly acting out to like piss someone off or like get your means in with envy. And I'm going to go over the 4 signs, the 4 things that people do while actively envy. And that's what you'll see in this video. So you will see active envy in this video. And another thing I want to talk about, I think Alex Hormozi said this, but there's actually a difference between envy and jealousy. And I want to get this out there. I mean, you can believe what you want. You can be like, they're the same thing. I don't care. This just kind of makes sense to me. So envy is you have something I want, and if that makes sense. So like, yeah, I'm envious because I want the success you have, or the life you have, or the girl you have, or whatever the case. And the jealousy is you threaten something I have. So like look at it like a girl, right? I think this is the easiest one to. This is the most palatable example. Say you have a girlfriend and there's like a guy that's like texting her or whatever, and you start to get a little weird about it. That's jealousy. You're like jealous because this guy is threatening the thing that you have. Not that women are objects, but you get what I'm saying. And then envy is like the guy has the girl that you want, and you're like, I really want that girl. And my answer to that is go find another girl. Basically, to sum up the beginning of the video, passive is not that bad. Like passive envy is not necessarily bad, and you can actually use that to become better, right? So like the road to heaven is paved with bad intentions, I guess. So like you can use your passive envy to surpass somebody as like motivation. Like I'm envious that this guy's doing better than me, so I'm going to use that to get better. I know like it's one of the 7 deadly sins, and it's like people talk a lot of shit about envy, but I mean I don't see that. That's not how I look at it. I mean it can be a bad thing when you act out, and that's the active envy. The other side, jealousy versus envy. Envy, you have something I want. Jealousy, I have something and you're threatening that thing. Threaten my having that thing. So that's it for the appetizer. Let's move into the rest of it, and I'm gonna erase this because why not? So here are the 4 signs that somebody is envious of you. The first one is micro expressions. So, say you are with somebody, and whenever you say something that maybe is like good that happened to you, you're like, yeah, this happened to me, and it's awesome. And then they would look at you with kind of this boring look, right? They're like, great job, bro. I don't know what this micro expression would look like. It's interesting because actually the micro expression is like only something you'll notice. Like you just do it. You're like I don't think people really notice micro expressions. That's why it's easy to tell a liar because like if they're lying, they're lying. It's really hard to cover it up because you can just tell. Which I might make a video on that too. But yeah, micro expressions they're just very like I don't know. They're not rude, but whenever you say something, they're kind of like And again, it's like the best way to figure this out, and I've learned this from any of the psychology books I've read, and you'll learn this too if you read or if you are reading psychology books. I don't know, but the thing that I've learned is these little micro expressions will really, really tell like the dark side of someone. Like everyone has a dark side, and the best thing to do is embrace it as yourself, right? And either fix it or use that to become better, right? Like there's Robert Greene. He said there's 5 types of enviers, and I'm not going to talk about that in the video. But in one of the types, basically, they can use that envy to become like professional critics, right? That's embracing the bad side and using it for good. But some people don't do that. So I think one of the main things that I want to get off in this video is more like I want you to acknowledge when you're envious. And I want that to be my thing too. Like I'm gonna start acknowledging when I'm envious of someone else because it can help me spot when someone else is envious of me, but also I can see like why am I actually envious? One of the best ways to figure that out is to actually just go closer to that person. If you're envious with someone, dive more into their life and figure out like I'm envious of their success, but their kids hate them and their wife's kind of rude and yeah, their life sucks and people are mean to them. Their life sucks. I don't want to be that. I'm not envious anymore. Right? That's a good way to figure things out. So if you pay attention to someone's micro expressions, that's how you can learn more about them and you can learn more about how they feel about a certain situation. Like if you just pay attention to little things that they do over and over, it's like not the one thing that they do, it's the thing they do over and over again. Like, and it's out of pattern for them usually, right? So, say for example, you have a friend of yours, you guys are good friends, you know everything about them, you see them all the time, and one day you're having a conversation with them and they're telling you about something, and in between them telling you about something they're like kind of doing this with their face, like they kind of like hide in their mouth while they talk to you, right? Like that they don't usually do that, they don't usually hide their mouth when they talk, but today they're doing that over and over again. You can maybe from there make some form of assumption that they might be lying about the thing they're telling you, or if they kind of just like low key kind of roll their eyes or look away. I like to look at it as like, if you ever watch The Office, like the Jim like look at the camera, you know what I'm talking about, where he's like Michael will say something and he just kind of hits this little look at the camera. I think that's kind of those micro expressions. Like I like to think of it that way. It's like those moments where it's like they kind of pause from reality and have this internal thought and it expresses on them externally. And that's what that is. That's what the micro expressions are. So the way to combat this, and this is awesome. First, tell them about something good that happened to you. So tell them about accomplishments. The best way to tell if someone is envious with these micro expressions is to tell them about accomplishments and do it like a couple times and see kind of how they react. They'll probably give some mean, boring look or like, oh, that's cool. Maybe a backhand compliment, right? But that's big on the micro expressions. Now, the other way to learn more about micro expressions, and this is awesome. I did this the other day, and it like changed everything. So I went like all the way back in my camera roll to like 2012 and like started looking at old videos of myself with my friends in like middle school and high school and even into college. And I just watched the videos where there was like people talking and things were happening, and I paid attention to people's faces and their hands and what they were doing and where their feet were facing. And like you can tell that like some people didn't want to be where they were, some people didn't want to be in the video, some people didn't necessarily even like me or I didn't like them, right? You could see it in our face. And it's like, it's funny because actually there were a few people who I'm not so like, I wouldn't say that we like don't like each other or we like hate each other, but we're like distant from each other now. We don't talk to each other. And I never really knew why. But looking back at some of these videos, I can see like the micro expressions, like why we don't really interact with each other just by looking at that. And it's trained my mind to look for these micro expressions because the more you can find that, the more you can realize what's happening with people and how to interact with others. And if you're still wondering, like, why is this important? The best thing that I can say is like, for if you're having a conversation with someone who you're trying to get something from, now you shouldn't approach. I get like I was thinking like women, but like you shouldn't approach women like you're trying to get something from them. But even it can come off like that, you know, because it's like a guy is approaching her and it's like, oh, okay, this guy obviously wants to sleep with me. That's how they can feel sometimes. Or like in a sales conversation, like we're trying to like interactions where there's going to be some form of mutual exchange, and that's usually how any interaction goes. Like you don't just, I don't know, like most of the time, people don't talk to each other for the sake of talking to each other, unless that's the mutual exchange. But um, most of the time, like if someone's going to call me, it's probably because they need something, and that's it. I mean, or they want to talk to me, but it's because they feel a need to talk to me. It's all needs, right? Like you guys are friends with each other because you're addicted to the same drugs, not because like I've known him since I was a child and we were best buddies for ages. It's like, yeah, you guys are addicted to each other. That's how relationships work. Anyway, the reason why I bring all this up is because say you go up and talk to a girl and you kind of see that she's like got her arms crossed like this and she kind of keeps like looking away and she kind of starts like tapping her feet and stuff like that. She probably doesn't want to talk to you, right? So either because she's nervous or because like she just doesn't want, like she's not interested. And it's good to like catch these micro expressions and be like, all right, you have a great day, and like walk away so that way they don't feel threatened and you're not wasting your time. And that's what I try to do in my sales calls too. Like if I'm in a sales call and someone I can just tell they don't want to be there, I'll just be like, all right, man, you know, like I don't think it'll work. You have a good day. Because what's going to happen? I tell them the price and they're going to be like, well, exactly, like waste of time. So um, I know that was like a tangent about like psychology in general, but to basically sum up what I'm saying, you can find if someone's envious with micro expressions. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about here, let's check out the notes, baby. Um, but yeah, go look at old videos. Go look at old videos in your phone. That is such a great way. Um, the second one is poisonous. I think that's how you spell poisonous. Praise. And this is kind of like the backhand compliment. This is just what Robert Greene, this is how he phrased it. Um, but yeah, it's just backhanded compliments. You know, uh, oh, you look nice today. You look better than the last time I saw you, right? Like that's kind of like, ooh, bro. Like you can sense it when someone's trying to be a dick, like low key, or maybe they're not trying to be a dick, but they're like low key being a dick, and you can kind of sense it, right? That's what poisonous praise is. Or say, for example, you just lost something in your life, like maybe you just got out of a relationship with a girl, and the guy, you go tell your friend about it, your friend, and the envious friend goes, man, she was such a pretty girl too, right? Like little things like that, or like um, they they praise, they talk about like the negative impact that your work has done for certain people. They'd be like, oh, like for example, someone could literally go in the comment section and write like, man, the red pill community is gonna love this, like in a sense of almost like trying to like saying that the red pill community is bad and that like what I'm saying is gonna make them happy, right? And if that makes any sense. And then the last one for poisonous praise would be, I don't know, I had it written here. Oh yeah, it talks about the results instead of the work that you've done. So they're more like when they compliment you, they're like, "Man, looks like you made a lot of money. Isn't that what you wanted to make a lot of money from the thing instead of like the thing you worked hard for, right? Like I worked hard to sell this property, and I really wanted to sell this property, and I gave it to a nice family. And instead of them being like, "I'm so happy for you that you sold that house to a nice family," they're like, "Oh yeah, looks like you made a lot of money, huh?" see kind of the difference between the two praises. So I don't want to go too deep into that. You already know a lot about backhand compliments, I'm pretty sure. Uh, the next one is backbiting. That's what he calls it, but you can basically just sub this out for gossip. So, yeah, when someone gossips about other people in front of you, there's a good chance that they're probably gossiping about you as well. And let's see what other notes I had. That's it. That's all I had for backbiting. They're just gossipers. Like, you can just see it. They're gossiping about you, or you're gossiping about them. Remember, like, you should probably look for this stuff in yourself before you go look at someone else. Like, if you're gossiping a lot, and this is a problem that I don't really think I have this problem too much anymore. Maybe I'm wrong, but like when I was in high school and middle school and even in college, I I used to gossip. I don't really like that term. I think it's very feminine. I don't know, but if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I used to talk shit about everybody, and I mean sometimes, yeah, I'll say this straight up. I have a problem with this. This is where I have a problem. I won't like overtly like talk shit about somebody, but definitely there has been times where I will be like, man, this guy's doing this, and it just feels stupid. I'm saying that out loud. Like, this is the one, if I suffer with anything, that I have a problem with. And now that I think about it, there's probably like three people that just came to mind that I could be envious of. Right? Just like that. I did that. I did that. Wow, I just said that on YouTube. But yeah, I want to. I'm not perfect. All right, I'm not perfect, and that's kind of the point of this. I'm not perfect, neither are you, and neither is anyone else. And people do get envious, and this is something that I'm going to think about. Like, okay, if I talk shit about a certain group of people or a certain number of people, then like, what do I envy about their lives, right? And that, my friend, is how you figure out uh, what your problems are and what other people's problems are. So, wow, I said that online, and I'm going to keep that in the video too. The last one is the push and pull, like the coquettish, narcissistic. You get the drift. The push and pull kind of attitude towards you. One day they're your friend, the next day they're not. They also will try to do anything to like get your approval, and then once they get your approval on a thing, they'll like use that to like bash you almost. Like, just imagine. I don't know if you ever had that friend that, like, when you play video games like back in the day, and you guys would be playing this game together, and you always beat him. You always beat him. But one day he beats you, and he's like, "Oh, you suck." Yeah, like that kind of thing, right? That's where that push and pull is. I want to see if I have any more notes on this. Um, yeah, and then like they basically just become friends to hurt you. Maybe not at first, and they won't say it out loud or even in their head, but like they're friends with you just so that they can hurt you, in a sense. Like, there was a story with this in the laws of human nature, and I'm not going to explain it, but basically, I guess I'm going to explain it. There was like a woman who had like lived with this other woman because their husbands were like mutual friends, or I think she was married to the one girl's husband at one point. I don't remember. I was listening to the audiobook, and at some point, uh, this the one girl went and told everyone that like the other girl was like never really the love of her husband or something. It was like something where she basically spent her entire life like bashing this other chick secretly because she envied her so much because the other girl had like more money and the husband that really loved her and that kind of thing, and she was envious of her. So she spent time like bashing her life and like ruining it just because that's what made her feel good inside. So, ooh, here's a bonus thing. So here are the four we're talking about here. Here's a bonus. A trigger of envy in anyone. So here's the anyone. This doesn't necessarily mean that somebody is like an envious person by nature, but this is like a always envy. This is like an easy trigger for passive envy, right? And that is, um, what's the opposite of precipitous? right? Exponential, exponential increase in status, right? So tomorrow I go out and I have it goes in a social circle where maybe you guys compete in the same domain. So like if all of a sudden tomorrow I went from wherever I'm at now on my bench max and went up to like 405 and I went and told all my buddies or like my buddies at the gym saw that, that's a easy way to spark envy in somebody, right? Then it's like if the rest of this comes along with it, then they're probably an envious person. You should stay away from them. But this always helps. So yeah, maybe it's like the people you're around, and all of a sudden like you have a really good day, and a bunch of you make a lot of money or whatever it is, and all of a sudden your social circle is like, yo, let's do some of this stuff, which it happens. I've seen it happen in my own life, and I've probably done it too. Um, Another thing, like again, same domain. So I have a bunch of buddies in the agency space, and in the content space and that kind of thing. Say tomorrow I post this video and it blows up, and simultaneously I like close 15 clients, and then I go tell them, "Oh my god, bro, you never believe what happened. I just got 10 million subscribers on Instagram or on YouTube, and I got I just made 10 grand yesterday." Right? Like that's gonna spark envy. So the best way to get around that is to not tell people in the same domain as you that everything went well. And if you do tell them that, um, don't overtly make yourself be like, I'm the shit, because some of them will come back and they'll be like, dang, bro, I wish I could be like you. And I hate that so much. That's one thing I cannot stand is like, it happens to me in the gym. And I don't say this to be like prideful, but basically I've had it happen in the gym before where somebody would be like, man, I wish I was as big as you. And it's like, bro, stop saying that. And that happens because like you have an increase in status, or you have like, I got relatively big in the gym very quickly, and I mean, to be fair, it happened because I worked very hard every day, every single day. Some people, not everyone sees that. Like they don't see that stuff, right? And it'll just be like, oh, he's lucky, right? You're lucky, man. And I haven't heard it yet, but I already know I'm gonna hear it one day where I'm gonna, the business is gonna take off. I'm gonna be doing really good. And I'm gonna see one of my buddies from college or high school, and they're gonna be like, "Dang, bro, you got lucky. I wish I got lucky like you." And it's like I didn't get lucky because I've been doing this shit for 3 years, and it hasn't fucking like I've been getting shit on every single day for 3 years. Um, so I didn't get lucky, but that's what happens. So when there's an exponential increase in status, people start to get envious. Uh, so this is how you deal with envious people. This is the last part. This is how you. It's very simple, and it's like it's not something that It's not esoteric. Like you've heard this before, and I shouldn't have to tell you this, and I probably don't even have to because you already know. Mentally and physically detach yourself from the person and slowly but surely drift away. Not passive envy, though. Remember, if someone is passively envious, they can still be cool. They can be your buddy. It's all fine. It's until you start to notice this stuff, right? Like they can be like say tomorrow, um, you make 50 grand and your buddies know about it, and they're like, oh man, that's super cool, but they kind of have some of that poisonous praise and the micro expressions with what you're saying, right? Oh man, that's pretty cool. I bet your I bet your douchebag buddies will love that, right? Or whatever, like some backhand compliment. um, that's when you're like, yeah, you got to get away. Another thing I would say is tell someone about your accomplishments, but one person, and then let a third party person tell you about that thing. So you can be like, hey man, I made 50 grand yesterday, and then walk away. And then a couple days later, 10 days later, another buddy, a third party comes in, and they're like, I heard you made 50 grand the other day. And it's like, that guy's talking shit about me. Maybe he could be like being nice about it, but who knows, right? And the guy's like, that's super cool that you made that money. And it's like, I only told one person. So only one person could have told you, and that person gossips a lot. There's an envious person, unless. So the last thing I want to say about envious people, and I said this in my last video or like a couple of videos ago when I was talking about people you should avoid. Just because someone is envious or rude or they have like just something that you don't want to associate with, like I've said before, distance yourself. Definitely do not use that as an excuse to like go and hurt them physically or mentally. Like don't use that as an opportunity to like be rude to somebody or say something mean, right? Like everyone has problems, okay? And like someone who's envious, it usually stems from early childhood where basically the mother was around the child a lot for the first year or two, and then she went back to work and she was, you know, a little bit distant from the child, and or maybe there was siblings and the siblings got more praise and the child has to like fight for the approval of the mother with the husband, with the father, and with the other kids in the family, and they don't get the approval that they're always seeking. And now an envious person. If you're an envious person, it's your fault. But regardless, what I'm saying is like it's your fault. You can fix it. Obviously, like you can recognize it. That's why I talk about this stuff, because if you can recognize it, then you can figure out that you're an envious person and make a change. And that might be why you watch the video. Like 9 times out of 10, here's the thing: there's a good reason you watched this video and I made this video, because at heart I can be an envious person to an extent, and you can probably be an envious person too. But now we've seen the video and we've learned it, and now I've taken the opportunity to teach it, which gives me the extra ability to absorb the knowledge even more than just hearing it. So that's why I make these videos, is to honestly teach myself. So hopefully this stuff has helped you. So try not to be an envious person. Don't talk shit to other people because you don't need to. What's the point? The world looks exactly the same. And have a wonderful day. And I hope everything works out. And stop scrolling through social media because, oh shit, social media. Oh my God. Yeah, envy takes place because of social media. A lot, because you look at other people's lives and you're like, man, I wish I had their life. Or they look at your life and they're like, man, I wish I had his life. And everyone's just doing this, man, I wish I had that person's life. You should just enjoy your own. So stop scrolling through social media because it helps you psychologically be less envious.